One of the things I think you do really well is if you come up with 3 good things to say in an hour, this motherfucker doesn't talk but 3 times in that hour.
The economy of speech. It's fascinated me. If you can take 20 nuclear level excited second graders, you pick them up at point A on one side of campus, take them across campus all the way to the other side, get them dressed into their swim stuff in the pool, swim the lesson, everybody survives free swim, back into the locker rooms, dressed and all their stuff, and then back over to where you first start. If you can do that, then you're good with your words. That's when I started getting very simple, clear, and repetitive with my speech. If you got something, if you're creating something, whether it's a business or just whatever, you're going to need to repeat yourself. Most of the time, the less I say, the better.
Welcome to the Spear and Clover podcast, the show where military mindset meets the spirit of the puppy. I'm your host, Jason Skisick, the entrepreneurial evangelist, and each week I bring you the stories of visionaries who see the world as it could be and can't help but take action. If you're enjoying these episodes, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and review. This is the best way to stay in the loop when we drop new content. Hey, entrepreneurs, does any of this sound familiar? Have you hired only A players, purchased the latest fire plays from so-called gurus, consistently almost become an elite organization, only to have it result in talented employees regressing to mediocrity, tactical plays spiking performance and then fading away quickly, managers losing discipline and hunger and then either leaving or just coasting? Do you really think the difference between you and the industry-leading team is a hire or a slick new marketing play? That's the same tired crap my Chicago Bears have shoved down my throat for over 30 years. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers have had 2 coaches for 50 years, they've had 2 quarterbacks for 20 years, and they're a contender every single year. Many leaders buy the best playbooks, they draft the best talent, and hire the best coaches, and year after year return without trophies. Who could blame them? Most business coaches and so-called gurus only sell tactical playbooks designed to provide a brief spike followed by a return to business as usual. The truth is, winning is simple. You need a clear North Star supported by managers and role players that have absolutely zero uncertainty about how they can help the team win today. Our simple program helps you become a dynasty organization from top to bottom. Dynasty Defined not only helps you structure a team that's capable of consistently winning championships, but once you do, they'll be writing their own playbooks, recruiting the best talent, and calling their own plays from the field. So, the choice is yours. Continue to hope that the next hire or brand new marketing play will finally solve all your problems, or commit to winning permanently, roll up your sleeves, and let's get started defining your dynasty. I am beyond proud to announce that we are now accepting applications for Dynasty Defined. Cohorts are limited to 6 entrepreneurs, and they fill up quickly, so head on over to www.spearandclover.com now and claim your spot. I can't wait to see you on the inside. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here with Mark England, owner and head visionary for Enlifted Coaches. Mark, how you doing, man?
The view's horrible. There's just a bunch of boring people here, and we're just dealing. I'm content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Set the scene for me, man. Why are you content? Where are we at?
Tomorrow evening, the heavy lifting's done on Group 29 for Level 1 certification. And we graduate them tomorrow evening. And there's a block of time, 4 weeks from the end of that cert tomorrow night till the next one that picks up. Mm-hmm. And that's the first so there's several reasons why I'm content and down regulated more than usual. Tomorrow marks the end of a 3-year and 7-month marathon of classes, of certifications. We've been running certifications concurrently overlapping for the last 3 years and 7 months, and I've taught all of them.
Wow.
And so that tomorrow is a finish line, and I've got a month off, dude. I've got a month off, and we're already talking like dialing back the team meetings, one a week, and so it's going to be a fun, kind of awkward. What do I do with myself? I'll figure it out. And then we've got a house full of super fun people.
Yeah.
Lucky me, us, my family has a lake house, Smith Mountain Lake. It's a very big lake that's famous for striped bass fishing and water sports. And my dad got this house about 10 years ago so he and his football buddies could hang out during game weekends. And it's about 30 minutes away from where they went to school. And so it's built for people. And so 9 months ago, I took a look at 2022, and I requested the entire month at the lake house for us Enlifted coaches, and turn the lights on noon, October 1st. The lights go off noon, October 31st, and it's an open invite. So people just coming and going, man.
Yeah, I've been here for about a day and a half, and that's definitely a good description. Just super cool people, kind of all different walks of life, all connected through you and through Enlifted coaches. So talk to me about the type of person that can do that, the type of person that can be surrounded by even people you love, right? Like, but there's probably at any given time 20 to 35 people here, right? So what, how does that make you feel, and why do you think you're suited to do that?
It feels normal. It feels natural.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy it. I love watching what comes out of these events. This is the 6th Lake House Chronicle, as we've called them.
Yeah.
We did 2 last summer, back-to-back weekends. So we reserved 2 weeks, and it was way more structured than this because Kimberly and Adam were involved in it, and there was all the meals were timed, and we sold tickets, and there was a cap on people, and cool, great. And a year later, we've got 100 more Enlifted coaches, and so I took a look at it, and I took a feel at it. It's like, I bet that we could just open the thing up for a month, and it will flow.
Yeah.
And we got people camping out in the yard, in their camper vans. Samson's probably still asleep in his car. I walked past him this morning. Taylor Morgan's in a tent. We peaked at 31 people on Sunday. That's a PR for the lake
Nice.
house, by the way. Yeah, so I love watching what comes out of it. It's normal, it's natural. We've got a place to be able to facilitate that. And just in very simple language, it feels and is the right thing to do. It's like, this feels right. Just have everybody come on in and also get out the way. And I've got my own room, which helps when I need to, because I'm here for a month. This thing's going for a month. And like I said, and being able to step back and have a desk and get any work done that I need to, or just go watch a movie if I want to, chill out.
Yeah.
I can pace my engagement.
Yeah.
They're the words. And there's a mission, build the. It's early days. It's early days with Enlifted, and the more time our coaches spend together like this, the more bedrock the culture becomes. And that's, as the great Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
It's funny you say that. I was just thinking about culture because we use that word culture, and I think a lot of people think that they have a strong culture, and if they were here, you would watch them running around energizing all of the activities and interesting things and setting up conversation and all these other things, and I feel like that's not culture. That's like chaos, or that's like somebody making something happen. What you have really appears to be culture in like a bacterial sense. In other words, like you planted a seed and continue to reinforce that with what you're doing. And but I'm watching you not make this stuff happen. I'm watching you like either not be in the room or just kind of be observing, and like all the cool stuff still happening. And to me, that's what true culture is. It's a replication of a vibe. It's bringing together the right constituent parts to make that recipe, and then the bread just rises. Because I'm definitely not watching you touching the bread. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I want to make sure the lights stay on in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the bread.
Yeah.
The bread will get cooked.
The garbage bags
baked.
are empty.
Dude, line it up, man. Yeah. Take people to the airport, pick them up, take out the trash, go pick up water, and that. I enjoy that. And it's a place where I'm at in myself. So I've been, just to call a spade, a high-profile person my whole life. So high school, I was that. It was like something out of a fucking Teen Idol movie, dude. I was that dick with the jacked up Jeep, running all the cheerleaders, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing in college. Moved to Thailand to figure a couple things out, and same thing on a couple of scenes there. And did that same thing in Ecuador, and so I know what it's like to be in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm good with it. I've gotten enough of that shit. And what's way more interesting now is to launch Rockstar Coaches, is to get people in the spotlight, and let them shine. I mean, I'm not on social media. We have a podcast. I don't fuck with that at all. As in, they know exactly what they're doing. They're great at it. I could be the main host. I think I've been on 3 times.
Yeah.
And so it's like I said, it's more interesting that way for me, and it's better for the community. So a lot of the astrological stuff goes over my head. Like, a lot of our people are into human design, and that's really cool. They like it. We had our whole team have readings from a very talented human design practitioner, if that's what you call it.
Yep.
And a lot of that goes over my head. And one thing stuck with me, and I read it in a damn newspaper. So I'm a Leo, and they said a Leo that is about themselves is a community's worst nightmare. A Leo that is about the community is priceless.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know exactly what that is. I know exactly what both of those things taste like. So people show up, and it's what can we help you with? What do you want to do? What are you becoming? What do you want to become? And how can we help that? And then also the through line, the words and the breath. Back to that. So every Enlifted coach has, to the degree that they practice, they've got to practice. What's more foundational for culture than language?
Mm-hmm.
and when people are using their words in similar ways, as in to stay focused on the things that are important to them. It's way more fun to be in a community when things are working in your professional life, and you're being productive, and the bills are getting paid, and you're having success. You step into a community with that in the background. It's way more fun than the opposite. So they're staying focused on what's important to them, keeping the drama low in their own mind, in their own story, or lower than the average person. We'll just say that.
Sure.
Because we all have our moments, myself included. And unlocking the breath. That's a big deal when it comes to fun, smooth, warm, fluid. Could we call this a party, or whatever it is? Events. When everybody's breathing well,
Yeah.
that's when people are having good conversations.
Yeah.
If I want to have a shitty conversation, I'll hold my breath in my chest and be all up in my head, and then if the other person's doing that too, then we got two monologues. We don't have a dialogue, and then the people are. You're way more likely to laugh at stuff and smile when you're breathing well. So it's the words, it's the breath. Good weather helps too, man. We won the weather game.
It does not hurt. This is gorgeous, and even the drive-in. It's the leaves are just changing through the Appalachian Mountains. Got to carve it up a little bit on the way in. It's funny you talk about stuff like breath, and you talk about your sign and everything. And what I'll tell you is two things. Number one, I definitely I don't know exactly how to say it, lean less to the woo-woo than a lot of the folks I'm meeting here. But what is interesting is listening to sort of like the longer tail of what people are saying, right? Like, there's all sorts of stuff that I've been exposed to in the last 48 hours or whatever, of, like you said, like human design and other things like that. And it's much more interesting to me to hear sort of like the machinations of like what the result is. And you talk about breath, and there's a reason I didn't record for the first 24 hours I was here. And it's because it's a whole new school of fish. You walk in and it's like going to summer camp, which I've literally also recently done.
Yeah. Chaco's thing.
But so showing up, it was like, man, I don't even think. And again, like if you're listening to this and you don't really identify with breath, which is not crazy, think about the way you feel and the shortness of your breath when you are socially in a strange situation, or like you're getting ready to present for something, or you're going into a meeting to negotiate a deal, or anything like that. And it really does emanate from the breath. And when you see people relax, you see them breathing deeply and rhythmically and slowly. And so I think it's funny that I think some people will put up walls when you look at it from that direction first, but it is the byproduct of like comfort and ease and confidence, right?
1,000%, man. Somebody says, I get nervous meeting new people. I'm like, oh, you mean you hold your breath? I have social anxiety disorder. Oh, you mean you hold your breath?
Yeah.
I have a fear of public speaking. You mean you're holding your breath? And we can go on and on and on.
Yeah. You also do another thing that I mentioned to you in a little side conversation last night, and it's something that I
enjoyed that out here, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful.
That was cool.
Yeah, man, I see you, brother. But we were talking about, I think, like, if you're lucky, and I think there's a lot of lucky folks that we've both been able to meet, you can come up with some pretty interesting things to say. But even if you're really lucky, you may come up with one or two or maybe three things in any given hour of conversation that would be interesting. One of the things I think you do really well is if you come up with three good things to say in an hour, this motherfucker doesn't talk but 3 times in that hour. And so because of that, there's like this density of interesting stuff when you talk. And I think that's skillful. And I think it's disciplined, because I think it's pretty easy to just keep talking when people like to listen to what you say.
The economy of speech it's fascinated me. I mean, it's something that I when I look back on it, or when I'm asked, when did you get involved? When did you start working on your speaking, your communication, your words, the language? And I used to say it was that first emotional detoxification workshop that I went to. And then when I really started thinking about it, I was like, nope. It's when I started teaching elementary school sports.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if you can take 20 nuclear level excited second graders, you pick them up at point A on one side of campus, take them across campus all the way to the other side, get them dressed into their swim stuff in the pool, swim the lesson, everybody survives free swim, back into the locker rooms, dressed and all their stuff, and then back over to where you first start, where the agreed upon point. You got to get them back by 2:15 at here. If you can do that, then you're good with your words. And that's when I started getting very simple, clear, and repetitive with my speech. And if there's one thing that I can definitively talk about, if you want to get something going, if you got something, if you're creating something, whether it's a business or just whatever, a new character trait that you want to embody more, you're going to need to repeat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get good at that. So there's part of my explanation for my appreciation of speaking well, the timing, the rhythm. It's a path, it's a practice.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the less I say, the better.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about teaching kids, and two things come to mind. Number one being anybody who's ever taught or coached anything knows the feeling of like putting the fast forward button on their own progress and their own understanding of the dimensions of that thing, right? If you looked at a dollhouse from the front, the only perspective, you would see one thing. But as soon as you start having to look at it from all the different perspectives, you start to see all the different nooks and crannies, right? And then separately, it feels like when you have children, there's so many things that I hear people say, and then now having had a baby for a little over a year, shout out to Lucy, I just see it. I'm like, oh yeah, you've had this laboratory of like communication and like you've been able to learn how to teach somebody who's never learned anything how to do stuff. It's like a fast forward button. But working with children, or even working with other coaches, especially the coaches of coaches, you're getting just so many different angles and perspectives in such a short amount of time. It's like the dojo scene in The Matrix, where it's just like you can learn kung fu pretty quick that way, you know?
Yeah, you can, man. It's I know jujitsu. I know jujitsu.
Those are great movies, man, especially the first one.
Did you watch the last one?
Yeah, I did. I watched it once.
What'd you think?
I get what they're doing. I think it was a poison pill for the franchise. So I think from like an artistic perspective and like what they're doing, and also like who the director is that made that film, I think that they were putting a poison pill in the franchise to put it down with dignity. I don't know if they fully achieved that.
I'm right
What are
there
your
with you.
thoughts? Yeah.
My thoughts, I saw the trailer and I'm like, this is not what those other three movies were on an essential level, as in the essence of it.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not watching that shit.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Okay, so the whole thing is essentially a letter back to the studio heads who had been pressuring him to make this movie, or her to make this movie, and basically saying, we're going to make it as the letter to tell you to fuck yourself and never do this again. That's what it is. Because what they do is they basically, it's the whole movie is a metaphor for making the movie, and they're very clear about it. It's very third wall broken. And so not Philip Seymour Hoffman, Neil Patrick Harris plays the villain, right? The new Smith or whatever. And he's essentially like trying to, God, I only watched it once, guys. If you're listening to this and this ever makes it out, I'm not certain I'm right about this. But Neil Patrick Harris's character like represents the movie studios and greed and all this other stuff. And so like the whole movie, Neo's like under protest, and like he does not use a weapon the entire movie. Other people do, certainly. But either way, it's like we're only doing this so you didn't do it wrong is basically the way they frame it. And then by the end of it, they kind of put it all to bed. So it would be like a really, really bad idea to try and make a fifth one.
I feel the same way about Star Wars. I feel the same way about Star Wars. As soon as I saw Jar Jar Binks, I was like, this is okay. I get it. They've sold. They've sold out.
I'm also not convinced that Star Wars was ever as good as we think it was. I think that Star Wars had the first mover benefit of like the first really cool, really good. I mean, it looks beautiful, and the story is like a classic story. But they just did the same story multiple times, and just like with time. And I've never been more than like I have my dalliances with Star Wars, but not a real romance, But I do feel like there just wasn't enough stuff then. Like that movie doesn't come out now and blow your mind. I think the stories are great. I think the first one and maybe the second one were really good, but it was just too. You just get this critical mass of people that see it and then grow up with that being the only thing, and now that's not really possible, as much. So
it was that for me and Voltron,
dude,
bro.
Fucking Thundercats, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right.
Transform, but but Voltron too, man. Yeah, like
now, like I had Thundercats, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, no, yeah, it's
yeah.
What about Game of Thrones, man? You ever
I did Game of Thrones. I haven't started the new one. I like anything. I like anything that doesn't make me realize I'm watching something that was written. I like anything where like you're supposed to write something and you don't. I love that. To the extent where like it'll make me feel bad, and I'll be like, yeah, but it was such a ballsy move, Like you'll lose a character that you like. Or
what was it? J.R.R. Martin, so that guy.
It's J.R.R. Tolkien, and then the other one is maybe H.R.R. Martin. Yeah, Martin.
That guy's got a black belt in.
Oh yeah.
Killing the heroes, all of them, almost all of them.
Yeah. Feels like they lost their nerve a little bit towards the end of that season or that series, though.
Yeah, apparently he just wouldn't write the end of it.
Yeah.
So my business partner and his wife were huge Game of Thrones fans and they would talk about it. I mean, like, get hyped.
Yeah.
For the first 4 seasons, and I relented and started watching them. Got caught up, and I was just as big of a goon as they were. And that last season, man. Nobody talks about Game of Thrones anymore. At least I don't. I know they've brought some other ones out on Amazon or something like that. But yeah, man, good storytelling.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's ever watched it in earnest and not just like loved it. I know people that have tried a few episodes and they're just resistant to that style of film or whatever, and they move on. But I've never heard of anybody like, I watched the first season, it was trash. Like.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
It doesn't exist. Some things are just good, man.
Some things are just good.
Titanic. Yeah. I was not born to like Titanic. Titanic's good.
It's my quote of the day so far. I was not born to like Titanic.
No. So why Virginia?
It's a good question. That one was out of my hands, so I was born here.
Okay. Me too.
Both parents born and raised Virginia. My dad's from the most western county in Virginia, Lee County, deep coal mining family heritage. And then my mom was from the East Coast, known as the Northern Neck. They were all boat builders. They built boats. They had a marina and they had skipjacks, which is a flat bottom boat specifically for shallow water oyster dredging. And you wanted to have they were famous. You wanted to have a Krentz Marina skipjack. Yeah, so two very different sides of the state. And I left when I was 26, moved to Thailand and stayed there for 10 years, and lived in SoCal for about a year and a half, Ecuador for a year and a half. I mean, it's what do the Taoists say? You come back to something for the first time, and it's like it's new.
Yeah. The whole river and all that, you know?
Right. Yeah, and I love this state. I find it very beautiful. I've got tons of friends, family here. We have our family farm in the middle of the state.
Oh, wow.
Got this place. Whenever I fly into Richmond and coming off 64 West and you see the city rise up from around the corner, I drive straight over Broad Street and hit Main, and you're in Carytown. Gorgeous.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about Richmond lately.
Dude, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. So either I'm talking shit right now or I'm not. The last the last two events we did here last summer, I said, that's it. There's just too many people. A year later, we do it bigger and better. We'll do we're not an event company. We do
Right.
we do this for the coaches.
Sure.
To get together and hang. We're doing a festival next summer, late summer in Richmond, and that will be fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. What's so when you say a festival, that's a specific word because obviously what you primarily do is coaching, language, breath, things like that. A festival implies like multimedia. So what do you guys envision?
DJs in the evening,
Cool.
workshops during the day, good food,
Nice.
a lot of play, a lot of outdoors activities. I mean, it's everybody here is active.
Oh yeah.
And they also, we're good at, it's time to work, and it's time to party. And we got so many friends that are, whether they're in the community or extended family members, just like Leo Savage comes to mind. Bring Leo Savage in for a mace workshop. Bring Mike Salemi in for a kettlebell workshop. There's a lot of talented people in and around the community, and it'll be a week of a lot of value added to people's lives and connection, because that's how this thing goes. It's through the connections.
Yeah, it's interesting. The folks that your program has produced and the people that have seemed to seek it out, and certainly the people that have enjoyed it so much that they're here. These are like very creative type people. They're very passionate people. They're people with like clear and focused, clear missions, focused to varying degrees. What I don't see is folks that are spending a ton of time in spreadsheets necessarily. How do you have you given any look or collected any information about sort of like financial performance or like their ability to scale the thing that they do? Because one thing I've met is an individual. Every time I've met a new person here, I've met an individual. And so very well, as the beginning of this podcast sort of references, that in order to be successful at scaling your mission, you have to be able to get your brain outside of your body and walking around on other people's feet, right? And so have you given any thought to that? Is there anything that has been effective for you? I'm not even saying that it hasn't been. Is there anything that's been effective to you to give these very passionate, very creative, very driven people maybe the keys to the car technically?
On the finance level?
Well, just finance is fucking boring, but it's more like that's like a stand-in for like the ability to hire somebody who
structure
can
of
do
it.
what you do. Like that to
Yeah.
me, and that's not magic. I always say that like, there's entrepreneurs that practice magic, and there's entrepreneurs that practice science. And the thing that the people that do magic don't realize is we're both doing the same fucking thing.
the same thing.
They just refuse to measure the fucking liquids and the ingredients that go into it. And so I see a lot of magic. And I think that I'm curious how do you set the example? Do you connect people with those folks? I've seen you do that. How do you get them to understand the science?
I talk about Adam Chin and my relationship a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone is very aware of the reality of the situation. So he is the structure. I am the chaos. He is the the business mind. I'm the engine currently, and so by seeing that, it was this would be a very different looking thing if it was just me. I don't know if it would be a thing. Okay, it would be a thing to me, but not like this. Because for a variety of reasons, that guy's I'm naturally risk centric. He is naturally risk averse. I'm good at making money. He is good at keeping money. Okay? And when so it's the hey everybody, play to your strengths. And
Yeah.
guess what? There's somebody out there, there's a lot of somebodies out there that you can click with and have fun working with that want to do, that enjoy doing the stuff that would drive you nuts and get you to potentially quit coaching. Avery Wood, I was talking to her about that
And Alex.
a couple of times. Yeah, and you saw me facilitated that conversation, which, Ryan Sprague he has his Adam, it's Alex Morningstar.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Morning Rock Stars. We give basic sales advice, strategy. We talk how to fuck it up. We talk how to sound like a pro. I mean that kind of, and which it comes back to the breath. I mean the through line is the breathing. It's not the words.
Well, and their confidence, they feel like they have a system. They have confidence.
Yep.
You've done work with them. There's nobody here that's like wavering on their point. Like it doesn't exist. Like people here believe strongly in the thing that they've planted their flag on. Clearly.
But yeah, very well said. And
Thanks.
and then here's a coaching skill set. Okay, here's a coaching. So it's the trifecta of mastery. It's the skill set, the identity to take that skill set into the arena and compete,
Okay.
and then a community. If someone has those three things on a timeline, on a long enough timeline, you can get really good at whatever the thing is, whether it's jiu-jitsu or coaching or violin playing or
Yeah.
you need some people that you can talk to about the nuts and the bolts of the thing, the nerds. You need fellow
Totally.
geeks, and we provide that. We provide it naturally and also consciously, and also we let people figure out their own business models.
Yeah.
Okay, that's too much. It's like we're
Right.
one of the reasons why Enlifted is working is we do one thing.
Yep.
We do one thing.
You're a bolt-on.
Plug-in.
Yeah.
We're bolt-on.
Yeah.
We're plug-in.
For sure.
Absolutely right. And
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is brilliant. Yeah.
yeah, and we play well with others, man.
Clearly.
What do we mean by that? This is a conversation that we're having more and more because we have an established community now, and so it's an ecosystem. We see it as an ecosystem, and there's a lot of overlap between the Strong Coach, Training Camp for the Soul, steel mace flow, and it's our doors are always open, and come in, and if you want to come in and take one certification and leave and we'll never hear from you again, rad. If you'd like to come in and take all the trainings and participate at whatever level you want to, rad. If you want to go over there and study this other thing, great. And so it's this open door, we're here for you vibe. And part of that is because I'm very glad I did it. When I was 20, my mom died. And it took a while because it just did. I got a check when I was 34 for $250,000 life insurance payout. And I took that money. I'd been coaching for full-time for 4 years. And I took that money and I went and circumnavigated the globe several times, studying with the founders of the systems that most impressed me that I knew of. So there's great stuff out there that's super slick and awesome and works real well that I don't know about, right? And I got to 8 of the 9 founders of the systems, like I said, that most impressed me that I knew about. And not only would I go train with them, I would go before the training and park it. And I didn't even know why I was doing it. It was just this thing that I knew I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I'd go early, take the training, get some one-on-one sessions with the founder, hang out afterwards, hang out with the coaches. So I got to see how different communities are run for better and for worse.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I saw there's some great ways to strangle a community. It's like, no, you can only study our stuff. You can't go over there and practice with those people or study that or combine with this. Here's what you have to use our stuff the way we're doing it, and we'll tell you when you're ready to go to the next one. And it's just they were under the thumb of this person that was, in my fucking opinion, scared to get out of the way, scared for the thing to get bigger than them.
That's McDojo life, baby.
It's McDojo life. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a great Instagram account. And I saw that and I was like, okay.
So is there anything, you deal in words. There's certainly NLP out there dealing in words. There's, the game, if you want to get real deep. Is there anything where you go like, hey, you guys are doing stuff maybe that's not honorable or like not good to do to other people with words? And I'm not telling you to like call anybody out, but do you see that out there? Is that something that you're aware of?
I always thought I forget what the fucking title was. The induction handshake from NLP was weird.
I'm not familiar with that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I never did a course like live. I just have read a couple books.
Yeah. So one of the people that I went and NLP started a lot of conversations about the power of words, and I got my practitioner training in NLP in 2011, and then my master practitioner, which all that took 12 days, by the way, and I got an opinion about that. Did the master prac in 2012, both in London with Richard Bandler.
Okay.
And half the reason, so he's one of the co-founders, everybody.
Sure.
One of the reasons I went is because I wanted to watch him work. Okay. And there was, so we would have a group session with him in the big event, and then there would these other break-off groups, and it was this handshake. Like if I did that to you, you'd probably knock my teeth out.
I doubt
Okay.
that, but I get your point.
And some random person at Kroger at the grocery store. So it's you go into handshake and you turn their hand around and put it in their face, and it's supposed to hypnotize them. And then you put them into this, and it was total McDojo shit, as in like.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, I stand by
Wow,
this.
I've never heard about that.
Yep. And what I saw is they would bring people up to demonstrate, and they were going along with it because they were going along with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what if a stranger did that to me? Like, we got a problem. Like,
We're certainly tightening up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shit just got weird. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Immediately weird. By the way, 12 days to get a master title in anything, that's real fucking funny. And yeah, so in that what I can stay on our side of the street. So we went to On It twice this summer, once in August and once in September. And it doesn't matter where we go.
Right.
Whatever workshop we run, whether it's an online workshop or any workshop, we do it on a show and teach format, which is we're going to run this thing, and I'm going to tell you all exactly what's happening, why I'm doing it, how you can replicate it, because I want everyone to see what we're doing.
Right.
Okay? I want everyone to see exactly what's happening, and so there's no smoke and mirrors. There's just we're all watching the same magic show.
Yeah, there's magicians that it's not magicians. I think they're called mentalists or whatever. But they basically are like, this is not magic. This is science. I may not tell you how I do it, but like, and then and this is your card, and you're like, fuck.
I've seen Darren Brown.
Yeah,
You're familiar. He's up there. I saw him do that with a group. It was unbelievable.
very cool. I did the master class that Penn and Teller did.
Okay.
I had a master class subscription shout out to Chris Voss, who made me buy that subscription because his stuff was unbelievable. But and they're like, especially I guess it's Penn, the big one, super like. I actually was thinking of him when I asked you that question because super angry at people that will use magic or these techniques to like influence people in negative ways, like talking to their dead relatives and things like that, where they know that they can give you a satisfying facsimile of what it would be like to talk to a dead relative, and they do that, thereby like kind of ruining your life.
Dude.
And that's like, I don't know if you call that the dark arts, like Theo Von might or what, but yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about when I asked that question.
The name of the game with the Enlifted method, as far as the coaches, it is an inside job. The way out is in, as in into our own stories. Otherwise, it's war. And then when we work with clients, we're there to create space and clarity.
Yep.
That's it. I'm not here to know more shit about you than you do. I'm not here to be wise. It's negations acknowledge. I don't have the answers. I don't want to have the answers for you. Here, let's get the story that's bothering you down on paper and air it out and make some adjustments with the words. And now you've got a second or a third draft. Most people don't have a draft because people just walk around with all kinds of stories in their head, and I understand why.
Is there like an XY axis? My friend Kenny Kane always talks about this to me. Is there like an XY axis?
I love Kenny Kane.
Kenny's my fucking brother, man. Shout out to you, Kenny.
Dude.
Yeah, we're in a group together weekly. Is there a
Tell him I said
XY
hello,
axis?
please.
What's that?
Tell him I said hello, please.
I absolutely will.
Pardon me.
I told him I was coming here.
Oh.
Is there an XY axis where like an Enlifted coach meets? Like these two things converge and that's an Enlifted coach? If you don't have an answer, don't feel bad because I'm trying to think of mine still. So
Yeah, fair
I just
enough.
want to give you a little soft landing in
Fair
case you
enough.
don't come up with some brilliance or something.
A good old-fashioned
Yeah.
XY
Yeah.
axis. No, and we do like graphs. I'm a noodle on that one, Jason.
Well, and me too, by the way. And I think for me, it's like where Spirit of the Puppy meets military mindset.
Right.
But these are terms that I've defined, so it's like who fucking knows? I think his is like conscious and connected. I think is his. And Kenny, I'm sorry if I mistook that. I have a friend who's shout out to TJ Belger. He's pro and flow, and I think that's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah, pro and flow.
Nice. Okay.
Alliteration or rhyming for sure. Bonus points.
One of the XY axes for an Enlifted coach would be hustle and flow.
Right.
And we demonstrate that.
I see that.
Myself and Adam and Kimberly, we've got our work ethics, we've got our hustle, and then when it's time to flow, we're good at that too.
Yeah.
So there's just like jiu-jitsu once again. Whether it's a week-end long or month-long event like this or a coaching call, a lot of the magic happens in the transitions. How smooth are the transitions? You show me a grappler with smooth transitions, and I'll show you someone who will infuriate a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just this. It's like you can't get them off you. It's just this. It's this. Well, flow. And then also, back to the words again, Carol. I'm sure you're familiar with Carol Dweck's work, Dr. Carol Dweck, Fixed Mindset, Growth Mindset.
Maybe, but not by name.
Yeah, it's a lot of people reference that that are not necessarily super deep into it. She's done a very good job of giving people some working components when it comes to mindset. So mindset is this thing that's held at this big picture macro conversation almost exclusively. Okay. And it's something that we know we need to get better at, but how there's that confident person over there, whoops, would have been nice, and I'm over here, that looks fun, I'm over here, whoops, would have been nice. And so people, they have a desire to do something with their mindset, their story, but then how do you do it? And it's so simple and foundational. I'm just staring at it. I'm like, how is why are we even talking about this? Why are we even talking about the power of words and the fact that some of them take us into the shadow realm and some of them take us into expansion and connection? It's so damn obvious. Potentially it's too obvious. So she talks about a fixed mindset, as in I am an angry person. Mm-hmm. So if you got a fixed mindset, you got a fixed language. Okay, rocket science. And she talks about growth mindset. I am being an angry person. Mm-hmm. Okay, that gives people more wiggle room. That first sentence is a locked down identification of self. And you can keep tinkering with the words. I'm practicing being an angry person. Mm-hmm. So now I've got more flexibility.
Yes.
There's more room to grow out of this thing that's it's a current scenario as opposed to a lifelong mental prison sentence.
Yep.
I'm practicing being an angry person today. And if you keep playing with the words, and you get your breath, which will happen automatically, and so it's this thing that will happen naturally by changing language, and then you pay more attention to it, and the breath unlocks, and then you have this way of speaking, thinking, writing, all under the umbrella of telling stories. It's got this flow to it.
Yep.
And then if you practice maintaining that to some degree, more and more of that emanates out, and shit gets better.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was done.
But that's fascinating. I think too, it's such an appropriate metaphor when you talk about kickboxing, because what is flow in that context? Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm familiar with the book Flow, and this does not fit that context, but well, maybe it does. But with that kickboxer, the reason they flow so well, and we talked about this fluency of language yesterday as a kickboxer, is they know what they're going to do 3 or 4 moves from now, and it's because they know what you're going to do, because they've done this so many times that they know that I'm going to do A, which means you're going to do B, which means I'm going to do C, and there you are going to step right into my D. Right?
Dude.
Sorry I had to go with that. But
Kablammy whammy.
But to that point is like, it's easy to keep your heart rate low. It's easy to be sort of this, like, I think the word is languid, like kind of like chilling out, because you know I'm going to say this, they're going to do that or feel this, they're going to say that back. And so it's interesting, hearing you describe sort of this result. The result of the practice is to then be able to jujitsu the world with words and the way you think and speak and carry yourself and the confidence that you carry. But it's the reps, right? And so I've seen sort of the levels of it. I always describe, like, if I'm sitting in traffic when I'm 20 and you cut me off, like, I literally might stop the car and fight you in the street.
Dude, I would so not want that. You're huge, dude.
And certainly, I would have learned a lesson after I got the shit kicked out of me. But either way, if I'm 30 and you cut me off, I get really mad, and then I go like, life's a beach, or whatever, and I wave them, whatever. And then now I just skip right to the smile and the wave. In fact, I was describing it last night to somebody, and I was like, it's almost like I'm waiting for someone to cut me off because now I'll get a great story out of it. It's like, oh, great, that person's super mad at me, and they're going to tell their husband that I was an asshole on the road, and I can go tell my wife that this kook just cut me off. And it's like, it's almost like the desired result is the imperfect. It's like the thing, I've trained for this, so please let there be a reason to use it, maybe.
Going back to Star Wars, it's the difference between it's going from Luke Skywalker to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. He's just
good. He's good with it.
He's relaxed, and it's almost like, does the position select for relaxed, or does relaxed come with the reps? And I think it's the latter.
It's the latter, and then we can also tie back into the conversation where I started. I used to be obsessed with cool. And that is, that's the Leo wanting to be the centerpiece of the thing, and cool that makes me reliant on other people's opinion of me. Okay, that's Luke Skywalker shit.
Yeah.
And then the evolution of that, at least for me, is from cool to smooth.
Yeah,
like smooth. All I need to do is adhere to this feeling, and cultivate it, maintain it, move with it. Turn the volume up, turn the volume down. It's exactly.
Yeah.
It's the thing that you play with, and then therein, now I'm taking care of myself. I'm disconnecting my self-worth from other people's opinion of me, and omelets. Let me. What do y'all need? Take the trash. I'll take the trash.
Right.
Pick you up at the airport. Tell me when. It's like I'm good. I'm good. I was not good with cool.
Yeah.
I'm good with smooth.
Yeah, I've been working with more and more younger men, but even as a CrossFit coach, you do that. But I've really given a lot of thought to like this sort of evolution. And again, like, shout out to the ladies. I'm not one, and so I speak to men. But in this particular case, certainly would love to work with women. But it's like when you're young, your model for a virtuous person is external. It's you look at the people you respect, you take a little bit of that in. You look at the people that are fucking it up, and you try not to do that. And so much, and genuinely, like, it comes through in the way they set goals. It comes through in the way that they behave. It comes through in the way that, they'll see the guy that they like wearing these shoes, and then pretty soon, sure enough, they have those shoes. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's because they don't have enough written in their book to sort of even know who they are. And so what they are is identified by external sources. It's either the guy behaving in a way that you respect, or it's the coach coming up and say, wow, you've got a great deadlift, and now you're fucking Mr. Deadlift guy. And as you get older, I've just found that so much, there's a time where you look to an individual's point of view. So you'll see people like reposting Jordan Peterson or reposting, Greg Glassman or Mark Rippetoe or whoever. And then you see those same people start to look at, okay, I read this guy's information, or I learned from that guy, and then I learned from this person, female, male, whatever. And then I think there's this really cool moment where those two things synthesize, and you go, this is why I think it's this third thing. And I think that's when you can start to base your own self-identity from what you find within, because now you have enough chapters written in your book where you can go, well, clearly this is someone who appreciates this or whatever. And it's interesting because immediately the guard comes down when you like you said it, when you go internally, it's like an infinite, I don't know if you've ever seen those like infinite like fractal type of things. And that's as hippy as I'll go today, but like when you go outward, it's like you have a limited scope and reach. When you go inward, it's like an infinite folding in of itself. I guess what I'm saying is reread your favorite old book.
Dude, yes, it's so true. Which would be the Tao Te Ching.
Okay.
And I've got 10 of those. I've got 10 books, Tao Te Ching. I bought them at 10 packs.
Yeah. That's smart.
At different points in time over the past 20 years, I've gone on Tao Te Ching benders, and the last one was 3 years ago. And there's a talk about repetition and the reps, and there's a Taoist saying, if you read a book 1,000 times, you're bound to understand it. And we were on tour in Europe, traveling around doing workshops and stuff, and I like to drink Guinness, and it's the pub culture in the UK, and numerous nights in a row I would go out to a pub, drink several pints, and come back and read the Tao Te Ching, and I got the same thing every time. I know I can't understand this, and I understand this. I can't get this, and yet somehow I get it. And you're talking about that kickboxer that's gonna walk you right into the D, the number 4. If they're flowing, then they're breathing. So the demonstration, one of the demonstrations, metrics for being in one's head in a sport competition, is breathing in the chest. Kickboxers will say, or boxers, I'm not getting my shots off, or I can see everything coming, but I'm a half second behind. Or someone talks about being in the zone, they're breathing down in their abdomen, and they don't have to think much. They can let their technique do their talking for them. And another shout out to Mike Bledsoe. So we did 4 workshops combining the language work and exercise, and this is what was the predecessor of Enlifted. It was called Flow Stated, and we would have people write down. So you got to get it on paper first. Very rarely did they hit something that was going to unlock their breath initially. But you get it on paper and draft it and tinker with the words, so you're crafting it, and then eventually you have a flow statement.
Okay.
And you take that flow statement into your workout routine, and that's the only thing you need to do with your mind. Okay, that's the only thing you need to do with your story, is to repeat this one sentence rhythmically, get some breath in there. Dude, people were having the best results, man. They were PRing. They were just saying, I was so quiet. I was just super present with this workout. And then I message Adam Chin. I'm like, buddy, this is after 10 years of me doing the exact same thing on and off, in and out of yoga communities. Okay, so I'd get hired to come in and teach the language work at a TTC, or I would do weekend workshops. Story work, yoga, break, story work, yoga. That's the 1 day, or there's 2 day, 3, whatever. And every time, man, get the story down, air it out, and then the body relaxes. Because most people walk into the gym with a head full of shit and their breath in their chest, which leads to which leads to them. It's very easy to injure oneself when we're distracted.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do that. It's very easy to overdo it if we've got a tyrannical voice in our head. You know, come on, you little bitch. You better you can do more. And then compare, like, all the stuff that I would assume most people would like to have the volume turned down on. Comparison hell. You know, they're I've been in here 2 years and they've been doing this 3 months and they're already stronger at me than that particular thing. I mean, I know you know these stories well as a gym owner, and all of those flavors, and there's other ones of story, trap breath, and as the great Brian Jones said, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you hold your breath, you're going to hurt yourself. And that could be an emotional hurt. That could be didn't make the sale hurt. Hold your breath and pitch like shit. And and that's not going to feel good. It's going to hurt. Or maybe you snap up.
Yeah, and it's usually hurting the other person too, because if you're that far in the process, odds are you could probably help somebody.
Yeah.
So you meet Mark Englund from 10 years from now. And you guys sit down and have a conversation. What is he going to tell you that you're missing now? What are you wrong about now?
Honestly, it'd be the same conversation both ways. Like, if I was to tell him something, I'd be like, keep doing what you're doing. As in, go get those L's. Go get those L's. As in, don't change a thing. And that comes back to contentment. So if I'm content now, why would I change that math? So tell him, keep doing what he's doing. And that me would tell me, keep doing what you're doing. And I mean, we keep coming back to, and I find a lot of value in that we keep coming back to some very consistent through lines in this conversation, to referencing Jordan Peterson, who I am a devout fan of. That guy's an angel, in my opinion. He said, work to get yourself into a place, a space, an energy where it's the there's a energy signature to it. I'm in the right place at the right time. And he goes, 1, do what you have to do. You'll figure it out to get there. Part 2 is when you see how long you can stay in that space. And that, in my opinion, is high-level magical advice. High-level magical advice. Because, I mean, what does that do? Right, so back to me. I am in the right place at the right time, and stay there, Mark.
Maybe that's a good thing to bring up, is I think, and I'm no expert on Jordan Peterson, but I do think, I mean, that guy, how do I put this? I think he is a beautiful mind. I think he has said unbelievable things that I've agreed with. And by the way, I think there are beautiful minds that I disagree with constantly. So let's just get that out there.
I disagree with things I think and say.
Yeah,
so
of
it's
course.
like,
yeah, for sure. But with Jordan Peterson, I do think, I told my friend Todd on a long road trip a few weeks ago, I think he got Rittenhoused, where like, where you say something controversial. By the way, the metaphor doesn't stand very well, but you represent a thing, and then a certain group attaches themselves to that thing, and then because of that, if you're not careful, there's this dopamine thing or this desire to be loved and supported that draws you towards that thing over time. And I think Rittenhouse is the example of that, where it's like he was probably just a kid and has like become like a talisman for some other thing. And that doesn't necessarily, I don't even
I get
care.
it. Okay. I get it.
Yeah. So with
He's an icon now.
So with Peterson, right. And with Peterson, I think like his most my biggest exposure to Jordan Peterson is through Joe Rogan's podcast. But I have, listened to some stuff he's said and done. Obviously, he's been through some personal stuff in the last few years that like is very, very tough. On top of that, has been assaulted from all sides by the people that disagree with him, and like totally embraced by the people that do agree with him. And I think, based on his last appearance, it's interesting because I'm afraid he's starting to try to talk like Jordan Peterson a little bit. And so I guess this would be a way to introduce the idea of, have you considered the fact that the people that you speak to give you so much positive feedback? Have you considered that it could potentially alter the message or the center?
1,000%. I think about that shit a lot.
Yeah.
And I think about my exit a lot for a couple of reasons. One, this thing's going to stop for me at some point in time.
Right.
And yes, okay, because, take a shot. 10 years in, after it holding my attention for 10 years, professionally speaking, I was like, I commit. So I scrolled down in my calendar down to January 17th, 2057. It took me a little while to get down there. And I put in, that's my, it's like, take out the like, it's in my calendar right now.
Right.
That's my last day of work. And that will be 50 years in the game. Now, either that's going to happen or it's not. And if it does, cool. If there could be, I was out here on the deck 4 nights ago, it'll either be then or it will come before then. There will be a moment in time where I need to leave. I need to step out of this thing and let it reconfigure without me. The people that step up will step up. And then it truly is a gift. Okay? And I just think that shit's fucking cool, man. Like, get something started and dip. And I can do that. I could totally. I've told everyone. I was like, I love y'all, and I could disappear, and you'll never see me again. Like,
yeah, I miss my old community, but they're not missing me. I mean, in the way, I mean,
they're
in
okay.
an individual.
They're fine.
Yeah, for sure.
They got great memories. They got cool stuff going on.
They're doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it, and yeah, at some point in time, I will become a detriment to this thing, and I'll know when. And what I'd like to think is
it'll be sooner than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It'll be sooner than that. It always has. It has to be.
It has to be.
Otherwise, it's not growing.
And I'd like to think that I'll could be Nurmagomedov this thing.
And by the way, what is he? 31, 32? Yeah. And so that there's a reason for that. Because, well, I don't want to actually walk that out because there's more than that reason. But
sure.
But like,
he dipped on top. I mean, how often does that happen?
I mean, just fucking never. Very, very rarely.
I think that was because I was paying attention about 30 minutes ago to my use of 4-letter words, and I'm like, he hasn't cussed once, and now you dropped an F-bomb. So I feel
we can curse, man. I
feel better about that.
I feel like that would maybe be more powerful without him. In that particular case,
yeah.
it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think it's one of those things where when cell production hits like a critical velocity, you can only slow it down. And so because of that, it's like you put a catalyst into a mixture, and it's like, yeah, I guess you could keep your hand over it at a certain level and try to guide it up, or you just fucking get the hell out of the way. And it's just, I mean, listen, this doesn't happen. So we're sitting at a lake house. There's approximately 25 to 30 people in here doing just various different things. We're looking at somebody playing with their dog. There's people inside playing Uno, maybe. There's somebody, cooking food. There's other people doing another podcast, I'm sure, and somebody's doing like animal flow or yoga or mace work somewhere. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, the cells are dividing, which means if everybody here tells 2 friends, I mean, you're in deep water if you think you're gonna. Now you can change it to try to maintain it and just and do that, and certainly by all means, like, be that. But I think when something like this reminds me a little bit of how CrossFit was. And you look at Greg Glassman, and he had to go hands off for years before things came to a head. He had to go hands off because, just frankly, he could have only ruined it. I figured out my very first Christmas owning a gym. I said, if I plan the Christmas party, it's gonna suck. So I found a party planning committee of the cool girls that were members of the gym, and we just never didn't have a party planning committee. And because of that, we never had a crappy Jason party. You know what I mean?
Amen, brother. It's like, I like cooking breakfast.
Yeah, me too.
And Go Big Will. I'm not trying to compete with that. That was the best damn French toast I've ever had in my life. Did you get any of that?
I did.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so there will be people to step in that will do it better. And the fact that I'm cognizant of this and articulating it with a variety of different people, socializing the idea of me bolting, in my own mind, of course, and then with other people, I feel good that I'll know when. I feel good that I'll know when.
Yeah.
And this thing hasn't even gotten started yet, dude.
I agree.
We took the app, the guy that spearheaded the app, Eric Blackwell, and his wife Julia, who he's been on your show.
Eric's awesome.
And we were talking app stuff on the way. That's infinite scale, and so we've had an app team, all running on sweat equity. No, these are pros. These are pros for over 2 years. And I asked him, this is something I'm almost barely involved with. And I asked him, I was like, what would the price tag cost for the amount of hours that you all have put in as a team on this app, which our app is in the App Store. And it's pretty, and it works. It was $1.5 million.
Yeah.
$1.5 million. So I'm like, damn, dude, that thing's sitting there. It's exactly how he wants it right now to interact with people, to build up the interaction level. I don't know the right words, but just they're learning.
Sure.
They're learning. Dude, I mean, it's weird. I've got a nice balance of, yeah, of course this is happening, and wow. Yeah. And I like that. I want to keep that. I will keep that.
Yeah, I think wonder is valuable.
We good, broski?
I think we're great.
Yeah.
Let's start to bring it in for a landing here.
Cool.
So I normally ask two questions at the end of every show, but we've got those questions already answered on your first appearance. You're our first return guest. So I'm going to try to come up with 2 more questions. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Would you like me to ask them to take the conversation elsewhere?
No, it's fine. It's part of it.
Okay,
we're
cool.
Fine.
There's people talking.
Yeah, there's boats. It's fine.
Birds and birds and shit.
So the first question is, if there was one additional thing that you could bring to what you're currently doing, it could be a certain type of hire, it could be a certain type of medium, it could be a certain line of business that you've never tried before, what comes to mind?
On stage with 10,000 people.
Yeah, cool. That's coming from a TED Talker.
Yeah, I've done... My record is that TED Talk, which was 1,800 people and live streamed to 155,000 around the greater Richmond and Virginia area.
Yep.
And you never know that you can do it till you do it. And so I look at these big stages, and and I want to know before I retire. I will know what that feels like. Yeah,
Is that for you or for them?
both.
The reason I ask is because you hear comedians talking about how there's an intimacy of a 300-person room,
Yeah,
right? And like and then it becomes sort of a different sport in an arena.
that's a good
So
way to describe
I'm
it.
curious. I'm curious if you think that, because what you're doing is like the things you talk about, I think are very relatable to anybody, and I think are very actionable, like very, very. But so you're confident then that you could deliver that message the way it needs to be delivered. Because
Yeah.
I have a story that I tell myself, which I'm breaking over and over again lately, which is like, my message is not for all of you, my message is for each of you. And so I definitely work better in a one-on-one setting, or even like a setting of, you're teaching a class of people that you know all of them, to where you can bring people in, to that conversation. So it sounds like I'd love to see that 10,000 person thing go down for sure.
I want that for me. I want that for the audience, and I also want the coaches to see that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Because they see me do it, and they're like, "Well, I can go do that." That's what I want them to think.
So how much is your personal notoriety a part of validating their progress?
It's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I think I've understood a lifestyle brand so much better in the last few years than just like the stupid word lifestyle brand. Does that make sense? Like, it actually is valuable that you're here, that I'm here. It's actually valuable that I drove here in the car that I drove here in.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is valuable that I train jiu-jitsu every day for a couple of hours before I start work and spend time with my family. Like, it's valuable that, you behave and live the way that you behave and live. And it's hard to separate that from the disgusting, which is like behaving, and which is knowing that and doing it only in spite of whatever it is that you're selling. Does that make sense?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whether anyone was here or not, or Enlifted was what it is or not, I'd be doing the same damn thing. It's like I'd like to think so too.
Yeah.
I really would, as far as thinking and feeling, and it's come on in. What you see is what you get. It's like that with just the Enlifted community on the inside. It's very transparent.
If there's a question, this is the second question. If there's a question that you think about and have not yet made a satisfactory answer to, and it's something that you think about often, what would that question be? Which is just a cop-out question, because I couldn't come up with a good one. So I'm making you provide the question.
So if there's a question that I would like to have answered that I haven't answered yet.
Yeah, so for me, I'll give you mine. For me, it's I know that if I eat healthy and work out and sleep right and behave a certain way, that I will feel better, people will like me more, I'll think more clearly, I'll make more money, I'll have better sex, I'll live longer, and yet I don't always do those things. Why on earth would I knowingly take poison? And I do. So to me, that's like my life's mission is in multiple different forms. First, that was fitness, and then it's become entrepreneurship. My life's mission is to answer that question, not just for myself, but for other people. If the answer is it's futile, that's fine. But like, let's fucking go, So that's my version. Yeah.
I was orthorexic at one point in time.
What does that mean?
That means that you're obsessed with everything being perfect as far as what you put into your body, the everything from the water to the supplements to the food to because there's, dude, go to a hacker convention. I mean, there's ways to upgrade everything, and people can get obsessed about upgrading things to where it turns into a neurotical process or neuroses, however smart people say that shit. And I totally did that. I totally did that back in the late 2000s. And one, it took me a while, longer than I thought it would have, to unravel that attachment. And two, I'm way more fluid with what I eat and ingest, and bro, I feel so much better. I sleep so much better than when I was Mr. Perfect with all the stuff. And then this brings me back to Stuart Wilde, who was one of my mentors. He was one of the guys I went and met. I was thankful because he's now deceased. He goes, sometimes you got to be the bad guy. Sometimes you got to be the bad guy. So, is it lifestyle or lifestyled?
That's interesting.
You know, put a D on the end of that word.
Yeah, I think there's a phrase. There's no accounting for taste, and that has definitely
I like that.
impacted me in a way where, like, it's not even the thing. Like, it's not the car, it's not the house, it's not the money, it's not whatever. It's more like it's the choice. It's your choice. The choice is so much more interesting to me than the result of the choice. Mark England, you're a bad motherfucker. Thank you for doing this.
Buddy, thank you for traveling here and walking right in and clicking.
I had to find my breath first.
What you got here, what day? 2 days ago?
I got here on Sunday. You were falling asleep on the couch. They were watching Kill Bill.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. My pleasure, man. Thank you for bringing your podcast equipment.
Yeah.
You're good at this. I told you.
Thanks,
you
man.
last time.
I appreciate it.
This is my 310th podcast that I've been interviewed on.
Wow.
And style, taste. Some people, you're good at creating the flow and maintaining it.
It's interesting because this is the first like actual podcast that I've recorded, A, live, B, outside, and like this is the morning looking at like the most beautiful, like diamond covered sparkling lake, and just the energy the last few days even has been just so mellow. So this is definitely like me at my most docile, but I'm a natural mirror, and this motherfucker next to me is pretty chill. So again, Mark England, thank you so much for doing this, brother.
My
You're
pleasure.
welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
I'm pumped to be here. All right, guys, have a great week.